Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. It's rated ice time. So listen responsibly.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Conscious Fever. I am Carl Price, your host here on Conscious Fever Radio, Ice Entertainment Television. On this hot night in Louisville, Kentucky, you can see our topic. Our topic tonight is vaccines. Should you get it? Why or why not? We got two men that are going to join us today, two strong black men that are going to join us today and talk about vaccinations. And I think they're here to probably spit some truth and probably dispel some misbeliefs. But I'm not going to tell you what they're really here for. I'm going to let them tell you that. I'm not going to speak for them because they are very, very outspoken men. Both of them are hosts of the Tipping Point Morning Show that you can listen to on WLOU here in Louisville, Kentucky, or you can watch them on Facebook at The Tipping Show, and we may play their promo before the night is over. But we're going to talk about vaccines tonight, and I hope you're on board with this. I know we did this once before, and we had a doctor here, and the doctor gave us some information that y'all probably all wanted to hear, and probably some information that people didn't want to hear. But they're gonna give us a different angle tonight in terms of the vaccination. So I hope I hope you guys are on board with that. I'm on board with that. But before I bring them on, let me just tell you something that just a little bit of news that broke today. Because everybody knew this was coming, right? Companies can require workers entering the workplace, right, to be vaccinated against the coronavirus. And that's according to a recent United States government guidance, right? This is a New York Times article from Jenny Gross. I got to thank my assistant for doing that, because that noise y'all heard in the background was actually some stuff that was going, some noise that was going on. Because we had a fan going on up here because it is hot. We're in a building where actually the air conditioner is broke. So don't ask me why I'm wearing this jacket. Probably because I'm a fool, okay? But in any case, this is an article from the New York Times that was published today, written by Jenny Gross, and we have to give her credit. But as many Americans prepare to head back to the office, and this is what she talks about. Listen, companies are hammering out policies on the extent to which they will require or strongly encourage employees to be vaccinated against the coronavirus, right? The bottom line is that companies are legally permitted, believe it or not, to make employees get vaccinated, according to recent guidance from the federal agency that enforces workplace discrimination laws, the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, right? So I think we all knew this was coming, right? Here's the latest about the rules in the United States on vaccinations in the workplace. Employers can require employees, again, to get vaccinated and offer incentives to do so. Federal laws do not prevent companies from requiring employees to provide documentation or other confirmation of vaccination, though they must keep that information confidential. Now, employers can also distribute information to employees and their families on the benefits of vaccination, as well as other incentives to encourage employees to get vaccinated, as long as the incentives are not coercive. If an employee will not get vaccinated because of a disability or a sincerely held religious belief, the agency said, he or she may be entitled to an accommodation that does not pose an undue hardship on the business. Make you think about Muhammad Ali, right? The agency said examples of reasonable accommodation could include asking the unvaccinated worker to wear a face mask, work at a social distance from others, get periodic coronavirus tests, or be given the opportunity to work remotely. Still, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission guidelines recommend employers to keep in mind that some individuals or demographic groups may face more barriers to receiving a vaccine than others. In addition to private companies, government entities such as school boards and the Army can require vaccinations for for entry into the service, travel. And this is a practice that follows a 1905 Supreme Court ruling in the case of Jacobson versus Massachusetts that allows states to require people to be vaccinated back then against smallpox. That decision paved the way for public schools to require proof of vaccinations from students. All of us experienced that when we were young. Now, you may wonder, is this a HIPAA violation? The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act has protections for patients' confidential health information, but it covers what your healthcare provider can share with others rather than employers and what they can ask for. Then why do many businesses remain hesitant about requiring vaccinations? Funny you ask. A Rockefeller Foundation and Arizona State University survey of more than 1,300 medium and large companies in the United States and Britain found that more than half said they would require employees to show proof of vaccination. Nearly 9 out of 10 said they plan to encourage or require employees to get vaccinated, the survey found. But while it is legal to mandate vaccinations, many companies are avoiding the thorny issue. Some companies don't want to create mandates until the coronavirus vaccines have received full approval from the Food and Drug Administration, which has so far granted only emergency use authorization to the 3 vaccines in use in the United States. Now, and I'm sure my guests eager to comment on that. But others include hospitals, for instance, have refrained from issuing guidance to avoid lawsuits. Now, lastly, which major companies have said they are requiring employees to be vaccinated? Funny you ask. Many companies are encouraging employees to get the jab rather than requiring them to do so. Target, for example, is providing up to 4 hours of paid leave for employees to get vaccinated and covering taxi rides to and from the appointments. The supermarket chain Kroger is offering $100 to all associates who provide proof of vaccinations. Salesforce, the software giant, will allow up to 100 fully vaccinated employees to volunteer to work together on designated floors of certain United States offices. And Delta Airlines said last month that it would require new hires to be vaccinated, but exempt current ones. It's interesting because they want us to fly, right? Becoming one of the first major companies to do so. United Airlines also said that it would require new hires to provide proof of vaccination within a week of starting, but would make exceptions for people who had medical or religious reasons for not getting vaccinated. It is giving 3 days of extra vacation to flight attendants who have received at least their first vaccine dose by Wednesday. You can find that article in the New York Times. Jenny Cross is the author. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and right after this quick break, we're going to come back and we're going to bring our guest on. You're going to be excited, maybe rejuvenated by what they have to say tonight. We'll be right back.
COVID-19 has changed how we express our faith and gather to worship. We all want to get back to how we pray, how we congregate, how we lift our voices in praise. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to spreading the word without spreading concern. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts. As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Should I get it?
Is it safe?
Should I wait?
It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you.
I'm living good, I'm living great. Everything I do in the first place. I said I'm living good, I'm living great. Everything I do in the first place.
Oh, I like that promo. My guest tonight, John Yah, of Esoteric Concepts, and Just Ask Joe. We're talking about vaccines. Should you get it? Why or why not? I know there are still some hesitations about the vaccinations. So we're going to talk that tonight. But before I bring the guest in, I want y'all to take a look at this clip, and then we come back from that clip. We're going to join our guest, and our guests are going to offer some unique comments, I'm sure. Check this out.
There is a chart that is worrying those involved in the COVID vaccine rollout here in the US, and it is this one. This shows the number of people getting shots every single day. And until recently, it was a source of great pride in the country, peaking earlier this month at an average of 3.4 million doses every single day. But look what has happened since. The number is falling just as quickly as it rose, and now stands at more like 2.3 million doses a day. So what's going on? One explanation is that people have become more nervous about getting vaccinated, since a handful of people encountered serious illness after getting vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And it is certainly true that the beginning of the drop-off coincides with the point at which US regulators put the J&J vaccine on pause while they investigated further. But while confidence in J&J's particular vaccine does seem to have dropped, the overall willingness of Americans to get vaccinated does not, polls suggest. Instead, what seems to be happening is we're simply reaching the end of the group who are most eager to get vaccinated, those people who are willing to drive for hours to do so. Instead, the US is now trying to vaccinate people who are more cautious, who definitely don't want it at all, or simply don't see the reason to, given that they're at low risk of suffering from serious COVID effects at all. In response, the Biden administration is trying to make it easier for
Good
people to get
afternoon.
vaccinated.
Today, we know that many adults have not been vaccinated because they have found it too confusing or too difficult or too inconvenient to get a shot. So for those having trouble finding a location or making an appointment, we're going to make it easier than ever.
It's setting up mobile vaccine clinics. It's urging pharmacies to allow people to get vaccinated without prior appointment. And it's spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a campaign of education and outreach to make sure that people have all the information they need to make the right choice. But some experts believe that there are now parts of the country opening up where vaccination rates are just going to be lower than other places. And that will open up gaps for the virus to reappear, albeit hopefully in a much more localized and less serious way.
I'm living good, I'm living great. Everything I do in the first place. I said I'm living good, I'm living great. Everything I do in the first place.
All right, welcome back to Conscious Fever on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. Remember, what's scrolling below me, you can watch us on YouTube, you can watch us on www.consciousfever.com, you can watch us on Facebook, Conscious Fever page, as well as my personal page, and you can watch us on Twitter, Fever_show. So tonight, we've got Just Ask Joe from the Tipping Point Morning Show, as well as John Ya. They are my guests tonight. Guys, how are you guys doing tonight? And welcome to the show.
I'm good, man. Appreciate it.
Okay. I hope our sound works out tonight. Sometimes, we have some issues, but listen, welcome to the show. We're going to talk about vaccinations tonight. Are y'all down with talking about vaccinations?
Welcome, man. No doubt.
Huh? I'm going to bring myself up some because I'm the king, so I got to. Okay, now I'm going down. Y'all know this because y'all are hosts of the Tipping Point Morning Show on WLOU. Media's a bitch, isn't it? Right? I mean, doing this is a bitch. I'm just gonna say that. I think he thinks I'm crazy. I think my assistant thinks I'm crazy because I get all high strung when we get close to 9 o'clock. Anyway, Joe, how you doing tonight, buddy? Did we lose Joe? Maybe Joe first. Anyway, well, John, how are you doing tonight? Joe will come back to us at some point, I'm sure. Okay, I'm well. Let's talk about vaccinations. Yeah, let Joe know that he has frozen on us. It's kind of like one of those TikTok videos, right? I don't want to be here, so I'm just gonna freeze. And that way I can just go ahead and leave the show. Is that what he's doing, John?
No. I'm sure you got the
Okay. Did he just completely go off? He did? Okay. Well, let's talk until he comes back, John. Talk to us about vaccinations. Should we get it? Why not?
Well,
No, keep me over there, Jerry. Because he's going to come back.
a pretty interesting
Okay.
subject when you put it in that term. It would just be not. I personally won't do it. And of course, because I do my own personal research, and I'm actually going to get up to be able to research and listen to my own intuition of whether or not I should take
You got to
something.
hit publish.
So basically, a lot of the research add up to me in the science. I'm a simple-minded person. Shouldn't have to be a doctor.
John, it sounds like we're having problems with your audio. I don't know. It sounds like you're dropping on your audio, and that may be on our end. Go ahead, John. Finish what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Just basically, my research tells me that there's not enough information, but not only on the virus itself, the vaccine.
Okay. Not enough research, you're saying.
Not enough research, not enough information that they are releasing, and so for many reasons.
Okay. Joe, thanks. Joe, Joe, can you hear us? Have we muted Joe? Okay.
Guest has muted him. He muted himself.
Joe, unmute yourself.
He's saying he's not muted.
You're not muted.
Guest has muted himself.
Our system is telling us that you muted yourself. You didn't mute yourself. Okay, we're gonna work on that, Joe. So John, tell me why, man. I mean, tell me why you say that.
Here we go.
Okay, there we go. Now we got Joe. It's good to have
Okay.
Joe. Joe, how you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh no, thanks for being here. John was just about to tell us about that there's not that apparently they're withholding information from us. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. And I believe, you know, there's been people who have used the term the COVID-19. And I believe that that is a fantastic term for it, because that's what this is. The whole thing has been acting as if it was some covert operation of some sort. We're getting limited information. I remember my dad said earlier last year, he said if the CDC would just look in their Facebook Messenger on the cure and everything else already, because it's as if information that came through Facebook Messenger and everything else was as conspiracy theory stuff. But now all of a sudden we find
Turn him down
that all
on the interview window. Okay. What specific information do y'all believe that the government is withholding in terms of these vaccines?
Oh, I'll give you a good example. Okay, so now, you ever heard of a second opinion?
I'll say it again, heard of.
You ever heard of getting a second opinion?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, there is none. And when it comes to this, there's only one category. Call it, it's like going to trial, and you only hear the prosecution side. Well, what do you think the jury is going to do at the end? They're only going to find you guilty because they don't get to hear the other side. So yes, the government is mad. Of course, look at all these doctors that are against it. They are speaking out, but they won't let them speak, right? They won't let them shout science that they are using on at all. So you can't get a second opinion. So of course something's hidden.
Yeah. We're gonna work on the echo on this side. I don't know why it's so dominant tonight. But you're saying that there are a lot of other opinions out there that the government is not sharing with us. I guess share an example with me of an opinion of some of those opinions out there, because I've seen all the literature that says that that the numbers have been padded in terms of who's dying of COVID-19, that there's false, fraudulent information placed on death certificates and different things like that. But what specific type of information should the American people be getting from the government that the government is withholding?
Well, let's just put it like this. This is the truth. I think this is nothing more than just a regular poll. Of course, twisted in their own laboratory.
Really bad.
But there are some things that was already in play for this happen. And this is the use of this thing called lipid nanoparticles, right? This is the experiment people don't want to talk about. It's not really about the whole itself, but it's really about the technology that they are experimenting with people.
Okay. You said the technology that they're experimenting with people on. Okay. Well, I don't like generalities, man. I don't like vagueness. So give me some specifics of what you're talking about, Joe.
Think about this, Carl. You don't like vagueness. So tell me what's the ingredients of the shot?
What's the ingredient of
the COVID or the COVID-19 vaccine or wannabe vaccine shot? What is in the ingredient?
Well, let me just respond this way. I don't know.
Because that's pretty general.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's very general, yet people are lining up to go and get this shot. You don't know what it is, what's in it. You cannot tell me that all these doctors, there were hundreds of doctors that were coming on YouTube and every other social media platform saying, hey, what's going on right now is not cool. You can't tell me that all those doctors were a crowd. These were regular, normal people practicing medicine, as we do here in the U.S. We always like to practice. So
Right.
practicing medicine, the day before they decided to make that video, and then afterwards they get dubbed as crops, conspiracy theory. You can't tell me that with the hundreds that were out there trying to state their case, that they would risk their whole practice to come on and be dubbed as that. These are intelligent people.
Right, but you know, there were 74 million, and probably half of them were intelligent people that voted for Donald Trump. So I'm not sure if I buy in, Joe, to the idea that people are out there saying it. I think what I buy into, however, is, because I'm a fact checker, is checking the facts on those people. Because, for instance, I looked at this story out of Canada, right? There is this story floating around out of Canada, and then and the essence of the story is that 1,000 lawyers and 10,000 doctors have joined this lawsuit, and they talk about the Nuremberg Code and different things like that. Are you familiar with the Nuremberg Code?
Yes, I am.
Right. And so you all know that the Nuremberg Code, the essence of the Nuremberg Code was that you cannot commit crimes against humanity, right? And in that lawsuit, there's an allegation that basically the whole COVID thing is a crime against humanity. But when you fact check that and you look at the actual Nuremberg Code, it's sort of skewed, okay? Because I went back, because at the request of Yah, I went back and I read that, and I saw that article out of Canada and the lawsuit and different things like that, and I'm not convinced now. I'm not convinced that that lawsuit of 1,000 lawyers and 10,000 doctors. I'm not convinced. I haven't bought in on the fact that because of their numbers, of their alleged numbers, that I'm convinced that that's credible, if that makes sense.
Correct.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is that there's something. Listen, I hear a lot of stuff about this, and to everybody out there listening, I'm probably more on the side of pro-vaccine, pro-vaccination. Even though Joe pointed out that, and I admit that I don't know what's in it, but I didn't know what was in it when I got it when I was a kid, and I turned out to be, okay, growing up in the ghetto, and turned out to be a lawyer. So, and I'm not saying that I should just trust the government, because I don't trust the government on everything. With us being here for 400 years, I mean, we have a reason not to trust the government in many, for many ways, many reasons. But, I hate to digress, because then I forget.
Well, think about this, Carl. Think about this. There's many people who say they grew up okay taking shots as a youngster. The reality is that you really don't know if you grew up okay, because right now there are ailments and diseases, Down syndrome for one, that have been linked to flu shots. So if you really think about that, even in court, you've seen where they can't admit that the flu vaccine does or does not contribute to Down syndrome. Those are in court documents. So again, how do I know that the Crohn's disease that I was diagnosed with when I was 21 didn't have anything to do with shots? How do I know that the next person that's dealing with heart disease or cancer or what have you? There's a lot of these things that when you go research, these vaccines come questioned often.
Right, but when you but the opposite is true as well, right? If you say how do you don't know, how do you know? Right? And I think, or I guess if your point, Joe, is that it's not about how do you know, it's about, why is it that you don't know? Because you put it out there, right? In other words, you offer the vaccine to us, so you should actually know, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Why can't none of us can ever get a clear anything about what's in the vaccine. Nobody's really. Don't you think they should call a press conference to talk about the nano chips and all of that stuff and tell us what all that stuff is? Why are they putting actual soundboard technology inside of people? I mean, they should talk about that, right?
Right. They should, but Joe, don't you agree that my DNA code is different from your DNA code, right?
Absolutely.
Generally, right? My DNA code is different from Ya's DNA code. DNA code, right? So I'm on board with you that some people have been vaccinated and they've come out with Down syndrome or maybe Crohn's. I don't know enough about the medical medical consequence of a lot of that, in terms of Crohn's. I don't know what, I know people with Crohn's disease, but I don't, I don't know enough to really speak intelligently about it.
As an FYI, what's the word? I cured my own Crohn's disease, and that was due to focusing on health and wellness, which is the same thing I did when I got COVID-19. I focused on health and wellness.
Right, absolutely.
I was scared to go to the doctor because I was scared of death.
Right. And that's always a topic for another day, right? Because we can talk about diets and we can talk about those things that we can do to actually not rely on conventional medicine to really cure us, right? Right. So, but let me get back to something else. I saw something else online. That when I saw this video, some of it, just watching this video, I felt like I wanted to cry because I felt sorry for the people in it. And then another part of it is, that the video was really funny. So I want y'all to take a look at this video, and then I'm going to ask y'all to comment with me, and let's talk about it on this. And then this is the video that's floating around about metals. Are you all familiar with that, about the metals? Let me show you guys this. This is what's trending on for the most part on social media. Check this out.
Okay, so I'm just documenting some strange shit that's going on with my body lately. As some of you may know, there's a thing about magnets sticking to people who have been vaccinated. Now, I have not been vaccinated. People who know me know I'm extremely skeptical about the vaccine. So I didn't go and get vaccinated. But I do work around a lot of people who have been vaccinated. And I've noticed something just for shits and giggles. I said, let me see if I could stick a magnet to myself. And lo and behold, I did. So this is one of my regular refrigerator magnets. Boom. And another one. Oops, this one's not sticking as much because it's bigger. It sticks more towards the collarbone. I notice right around the collarbone it's more magnetic for some reason. And I can kind of move around a little. This one is slipping because it's big and heavy. Here's another little, I don't know if you can see that little teeny tiny magnet. Oops. All right, that one got lost. Bobby pin. Another bobby pin. Tweezers. Not just magnets, but metal things are sticking to me, so I'm a magnet. Keys. And I'm shaking a little bit. It's not like a super strong hold, but it's a magnet. Box of Altoids. I mean, I don't know what's going on here. I gotta say I'm a little bit concerned, but I'm not gonna panic. It's just weird. There's nothing sticky on any of these objects. I'm not sweaty. I'm nice and clean and dry. This is a brand new acupuncture needle, which is made of stainless steel, so it's a metal. Boom, boom. Fresh out the package, not tampered with. Sticking to your girl. So Not sure what's going on, but it's not just happening to people who are vaccinated. It's happening to unvaccinated people, possibly who are working around a lot of vaccinated people. I'm a massage therapist, so I have close contact with a lot of different people. And here in New York City, especially in Manhattan, a lot of people are vaccinated.
No. Should be staying there. Should be staying there. Falls off there. So down here now. But yeah, it stays there. Like magic. Nah. We'll try the back. Should be staying there. Should be staying there. No.
Okay. Joe, I noticed that you found... Oh, I'm good. I'm sorry. Joe, I noticed that you found that a little comical. I did too.
Yeah, I've been trying ever since I saw that to stick my keys up here and see if there's any normalcy behind metal sticking.
I did the... hold on, we don't want to show too much skin here, but I did this. She said the collarbone. I did my pen, and I think it stuck. Well, it tried to stick, but anyway. But anyway, comment on this video, John. Huh? What'd you say, Joe?
Alarm you that your pen sticks to you?
Well, what alarms me is that it will stick with me with or without COVID coming into our lives. I did that about 30 years ago. What they're doing, and stuff was sticking to my body. So I don't necessarily. Anyway, what do y'all think about this, John? You were the one that just showed no facial impression at all from that video. Tell me whether you do you believe in it or do you not? What you just saw.
Well, let me say this is that, and let me start out this way. With the current things that's been going on in this country for years, most, if not all of us, can only internalize those things we are already in agreement with. Those things you are not in agreement with, you will not internalize, no matter how much facts they will bring. Why? Because it doesn't agree with your position. Now, what's interesting about that video is that we as humans already are made up of metal, and we are already made up of energy. Right? I don't find it odd or anything that a magnet sticks to a person. I don't find it has nothing to do with COVID or not. Actually, we could have done that years ago because we found out that there's an electromagnetic field around us. I got a tester that can show you that you are an electric magnetic wave. You got it in your brain, and it's connected to all the electromagnetic fields around us. I'm not surprised about that. But let's get back to the COVID issue and about this issue of whether or not you be treated with a shot. Here's the thing I would like to ask you.
Right, the only way, hold on, John, before you go there, the only reason I show that video is because the whole point that is out there is that people who are vaccinated, their bodies are being transformed. And these people are showing these videos and they're saying, give me some metal, and metals are now sticking to me now, not because because I've been vaccinated, and two, because I've been around people who have been vaccinated. The black girl in that video, her point was, I've been around people who have been vaccinated and that metal is sticking to me. So I guess my whole purpose in showing that was that does it really get us to that end result? Does that make you, and obviously it doesn't make you believe that there's something wrong with the vaccine. In other words, there's another reason to hate taking not taking a vaccine, because they're putting something in your body that you don't know about, which alludes to something that Joe said earlier. And what they're putting in our body is more metal, and it's attracting other metal. That's all. But I'll let you make your point.
Well, again, I don't take that video either or, whether it's got anything to do with anything dealing with the vaccine. Again, if those of people who believe it will believe it, those people who won't believe it because it doesn't agree with your position. I get that. But what I want to express is this. It's very important to understand. And we're talking about two things. We're talking about an mRNA that is encoded spike protein. Okay? Now, they're not giving you, this is not a vaccine, by the way. This technology isn't about mRNA. What this is about is the lipid nanoparticle that they are experimenting with. You see? So if you pay attention carefully, lipid nanoparticle was approved in 2018 by the FDA. And so, but it was created in the 80s. Okay? This technology is this, that they are able to put a drug inside a lipid nanoparticle that goes inside your body that's capable of being undetected to what it's carrying. Because if they put directly the medicine in you, your body would destroy it. So the ideal is that how to get the medicine directly to the cell that matter. Brain cell, membrane, right? So this thing is capable of traveling through your body undetected, waiting to get to its location and wait for a signal to open up. This is new technology, buddy. And this is what we should be afraid of. Is this what they're doing with the experiment? You see, COVID ain't nothing but another cold. A little bit tweaked, however, but nevertheless, it's really not about COVID. Here's what it's about. It's about putting fear on you to make you a guinea pig. This is what the bottom line is. So what people don't recognize, again, another example that people should be worried about, and I don't care who's against it or who's for, but let me say this. When we went through the Tuskegee experiment, it went on from 1932 to 1972, 40 years. You had black doctors convincing black people to do the test. Have you heard anybody apologize? Have you ever heard anybody who was a doctor that helped convince to this ever apologize to say they were wrong? Here's what I do know. Over 4,000 medications and pharmaceuticals are rejected by or are recalled by the FDA every year. For over 4,000 drugs and pharmaceuticals are recalled. So what I'm saying is this, is that once they had the government or FDA now fully approve of, what they're saying is that you the guinea pig until they get an approval to do this legally. That's what I'm telling you. And I don't want to be at the other end of that spike or that phone call. You know the one, here's maybe you see the commercial. If you have taken this medicine, call this number 1-800. We may be. I don't want to be on the other end of that call. So we're doing this without thinking first. This is not that serious. And they experiment on it. That's the real issue.
Right, but aren't we doing that with everything? I mean, aren't we doing that? You know, for instance, you know, when I go to the grocery store and I think I'm getting, or not really, I'm not talking about a grocery store like Kroger. I'm talking about maybe Whole Foods, and I'm only getting what Whole Foods is telling me I'm getting, right?
Meaning,
I'm getting what they're telling me that I'm getting. I didn't catch the fish for them, right? I didn't package the vitamins that they have, or the herbs that they have, or the spices that they have. Not really spices, but the herbs that they have. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my question to you is that
hopefully going to Whole Foods doesn't lead us to a pandemic.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. But the point is that, you know, Whole Foods is no different from anybody else. I mean, they're there to make money, and in the course of making money, you know, they're gonna everything that they give us is not entirely fresh. You know, that's why when Yah and I once were talking, we were talking about the weeds that grow in our yards sometimes are a lot more fresh and a lot more healthier. Of course, depending on how contaminated our ground is, our yard sometimes can be a lot more healthier than what we're getting packaged, or what we're getting, you know, or the orange juice that we're getting sent from Florida that is really not fresh, but they tell us that it's fresh. It can't be fresh because it's
you know the difference with that though? You have a great ability to research that.
Right.
I can research all about, Whole Foods told me that the farm-raised salmon that they have is from a fish farm that Whole Foods monitors, and that the reason why they have such of that great orange color is more so because they actually feed the salmon, carrots. So, I can believe that, or I can not believe that, but I can go research it and I can find that information out very easily. I can't do that with this shot. And let me say one thing. When we're talking about this shot, the numbers, that's another thing with this whole thing that makes it real skeptical. We're talking about, 100, I just looked up the numbers a second ago. And it's as of 40 minutes ago, it's about 175 million cases with 3.76 million deaths. So anybody, see, people hear that and they're scared and they're like, oh wow, this is scary.
I'll tell you what.
It's literally less than 2% of the population of the people that actually got the COVID-19. Less than 2% died from it. The other side of that is the 98% of people that survived it without a problem. Now, go do the same math on flu and vaccine.
Right.
Like the same numbers.
Right. Okay. Let's take a look at this comment real quick. Check this comment out. It says, "I'm trying to understand what the purpose of this conversation." So basically, okay, we lost it. Put the comment back up. No, it's not there. It's off the screen. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to understand what the purpose of this conversation. So basically saying don't take the shot versus do take the shot. I too was absolutely not taking the test, but I am absolutely privileged to be a medical professional who are scientists, specifically work with provided logical explanation why they felt the U of L vaccine given at the hospital was safe. They themselves took the shot, the vaccine. I am not that damn intelligent as they to speak, but I am intelligent enough to listen and hear intelligent conversation spoken to me. I am, and wife is fully vaccinated. I am done worrying about it. Peace. Let's go back to the panel. How about that, guys?
Nothing means nothing to me. I'm not emotionally involved with what someone says. Again, that's just no different than if you bring me a doctor from the Tuskegee experiment telling me get in line to take the shot. Not getting it. So the matter to me, you cannot convince me that here's what's very important. Paul, you and I know that you and I talked about the death rate of what is expected. The government expects you to die, right? We understand that there is a level of keeping people ill and sick. We understand that the pharmaceutical companies are involved with CDC. We understand that the CDC is in bed with the FDA. So we understand the health thing that they're trying to do. So it doesn't mean that wouldn't mean nothing to me. What that tells me is that you have individuals who believe in the system and will accept anything this government tells you. That's all that means to me. It means that individuals don't have what is called an objective mind to research first. Instead, they do it under what? The word fear.
But let me ask you this, John. So what about the people who have researched it and they are convinced that it's safe? We're not criticizing them, are we?
Who have researched it and said it wasn't safe.
No. I get that. But I'm just asking you, what about, because we had a doctor on the show, and the doctor was convinced, the physician was convinced, she researched it, she's convinced this is great. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Because what that amounts to is just a different opinion, right?
No, the research wasn't telling us what was in the vaccine. Our research was telling us what she was taught to say from who she studied from. She is not. Here's the thing: you got three different types of medicine. Well, let's pick the two of the doctor who studied allopathic medicine and the doctor who studied homeopathic medicine. The homeopathic medicine is the doctor that studies vaccine. He was not a homeopathic medicine. You see, so she didn't really make any sense to me. She may have made sense to a lot of y'all, but see, I'm a student of studying myself. You can't just tell me that and expect me to believe it because she comes from the school of thought.
Take me back. Go back. Oh, okay. Okay. But I guess my point, John, is this, is that you've done your research, Joe's done his research. Let's say Mr. Daniels, who just commented, he's done his research. He's convinced. I'm convinced that the vaccine is safe. I'm taking it. Move on. Isn't that just a different opinion than what your opinion is?
Well, yes, exactly. But here's the thing. Keep talking about just opinion. It's right. We all have the right to voice our opinion. I agree with that. But I want to see you and those when all this come out, and I want to see y'all come forward and then see what y'all say when more of this evidence come out. If this was just an experiment, and this is going to turn out to be the biggest scandal the world has ever seen, not only the United States, but the whole world. That's just no open thing. You could get some medicine that the doctor told you to take, and then all of a sudden now you see there's a recall of the medicine, telling you not to take it. Where do you stand then? Do you still wish you would have done it? Surely not.
Right. How can you research what is not told is in the vaccine?
Exactly. How can you research it? They ain't telling you what's in it.
Right. But I guess, John, let me just put this in the first person with me.
And if it's safe, Carl, why don't they open themselves up for lawsuit because they're going to fuck up a lot of people? How come they have immunity from being sued? Because they're practicing on people. They are experimenting with you freely.
Right. Well, a lot of people actually, a lot of the requests for immunity laws did not pass. So a lot of companies don't have immunity. I think the Republican
vaccine they do. On this vaccine, they have immunity.
Some of them do. Yeah, some of them do. Not, I mean, because companies wanted that immunity also. Companies wanted to say, hey, restaurants wanted to say, hey, come back to work and work with us, but if you catch COVID, we can't be sued. We don't want you to sign anything. We want the government to make that the law, and that law didn't pass. So there's a lot of them out there that don't have immunity, other than that general immunity that the government has and different things like that. But let me just
the vaccine companies do have
the
that
vaccine
immunity.
companies got immunity, Carl. You didn't know that?
No, I don't know one way or the other. I mean, if y'all telling me that they have immunity, I just know that immunity has a lot of levels. Okay, so when we say immunity, that doesn't necessarily mean completely exonerated. In fact, there is no super immunity. Nobody gets super immunity legally. There is no super immunity legally, right? There are exceptions to all immunity, just like we call it absolute immunity, qualified immunity, and sovereign immunity. Those are the three immunities that the law recognizes. And even the absolute immunity, even though it sounds absolute, it really isn't absolute legally, because there are some minor exceptions to it. Although 99% of the time, those exceptions do not apply. But let me just hammer this home, and then I'm gonna get to showing something else. But here's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I'm gonna put this in the first person. So let's say I am convinced based upon my research, not your research, not Joe's research. I'm convinced upon my research that it's safe to take the vaccine. What's wrong with that?
Absolutely nothing.
Right. I mean, although you may think I'm completely wrong because you have information that contradicts what I may believe, but let's just say that whatever it is, whatever I've done personally to come over to the side of saying I need to be vaccinated, that's one of the privileges I have in America, to say, yeah, I'm on board, I'm not on board. When we show these women with the magnets, I mean, they're obviously, they obviously have some issues.
Yeah, but here's the problem. I don't care about whether you choose to get vaccinated. What I am concerned about is those who are vaccinated forcing it on others. I could care less to get vaccinated, but the forcing people to get on it is my issue.
And that's
okay, let's talk about that
culture that they're creating. They're creating a culture right now.
Right.
Think about this, and it's not cool, because you wouldn't want this type of culture created among anything else. But all of a sudden, because you got so many people scared of the hype, because they don't do their own research, because I've never heard a pro-vaccine conversation that made any sense, that was really based on numbers. But with that in mind, think about it. They're creating a culture of vaccinated people against the non-vaccinated people, and that's not cool. You're rewarding people that are not vaccinated, or that get vaccinated, doing lotteries like Cincinnati. That's not cool.
And that makes it suspect. I mean, look, listen, Joe, I agree. It makes it suspect. I mean, we showed something earlier. I mean, I read something earlier, I think, or I talked to you, everybody earlier about Kroger, the incentives that Kroger have. You know, there are some companies who say, we're not going to make people do it, but we're going to encourage them to do it. So, you know, but I guess, let me do this before we run too much out of time. I've got to take another quick break, but at the end of this break, I want y'all to pay attention to the vaccinated numbers, the total number of vaccinations. I want to show y'all this video, then I want to comment on it. But before we show that video, I got a quick snippet to my Greek friends with just a brief Greek tease. Check this out.
This is my son. Hear him. God's messenger.
Welcome back to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
All right, I'm still hot. Anyway, interesting numbers. I thought I heard one of y'all say, "Wow, look at all those fools." My mic was still on, but y'all's mic was hot. You said, "Oh, damn, look at all those fools." All over the world. China. At one point, China got ahead of the United States. But anyway.
It's very interesting because, you know, of course, you was in China before, and you know China's in total control of their people. At the end of a certain time, you can only have so many kids. So the United States is trying to catch up to take control of all the Negroes.
That's the thing. China is always modeling themselves. You know, in a way, they try to model themselves after the U.S. You know, they've gone to Lake Africa of their precious things, just the same as the U.S. did.
Right.
But let me say something real quick. To John's point earlier, you know, I just want to say the one thing I love about speaking from an angle of facts is the ability to be factual. So John talked about the immunity that these companies have. Here's an article right here that was written in December of 2020. It says you can't sue Pfizer or Moderna if you have severe COVID vaccine side effects. The government won't likely compensate for damages either. Now this is CNBC, it's relatively credible, right? In February, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar invoked the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act. The 2005 law empowers the HHS Secretary to provide legal protection to companies making or distributing critical medical supplies such as vaccines and treatments unless there's quote-unquote willful misconduct by the company. The protection lasts until 2024.
Right. And Joe, that's exactly what I was talking about. When you said unless, that's that exception. So there's really no super immunity, absolute immunity. And I can always run into court and say, hey, look, their conduct was willful, so they don't get the immunity. But to your point, for the most part, 99% of situations never actually absolutely become absolute immunity. So the point is well taken. This ideal that of herd immunity, and I know you guys know what herd immunity is, right? Yep. It's this idea of vaccinating so many people that it doesn't matter if a few don't get vaccinated, right? There's a lot of us every year that don't get the flu vaccination for whatever reason, or don't get the
we practiced for a number of years.
I'm sorry?
Like 100 years we've been practicing herd immunity. That's
right.
We've done through the years.
Right. And so why isn't it okay for as many people as possible to get vaccinated so we can reach herd immunity with the coronavirus?
Are you speaking to that to convince me to get vaccinated and or to promote vaccination because of that reason?
No. I know it's difficult to convince you beyond where you are, Mr. Yah. So I'm not trying to do that. Well, all I'm saying is I'm just asking the question. Isn't it worth being at herd immunity for the coronavirus like we are with the flu virus?
Well, I'd never taken the flu shot.
Well, but you've taken some vaccinations, right?
Probably so when I was a kid.
Right, when you were a kid.
My parents probably didn't know any better. I guess I was.
Right. So that's what I'm talking about. I mean, this whole idea of herd immunity is that so many people take it, and if so many people take it, then it doesn't matter that a few don't take it because the herd is protected, and because the herd is protected, in other words, it's kind of like similar to like a dog with a flea, right? If 10 of us, if 100 of us are in the room and 90 of us are part of the herd, then that flea cannot continue to jump to us, right? And then can jump to somebody else. It's only among that small 10%. But what jumps out of them to us will not go any further if we have that immunity. That's all I'm saying. So my question is that isn't it worth taking a chance to get to herd immunity with the coronavirus if based upon what we know, the majority of people with it are not dying. I mean, it's like 2%, right?
Are you saying the majority of people with COVID, right?
With COVID are not dying.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's less than 2% that are actually dying. But here's the thing. We've done herd immunity pretty much all the time. Why is that not the conversation? See, that's what makes this suspect. There's things that should be the conversation that are not the conversation. Like if this was about health, if this was an actual concern for people, and God forbid the level of concern they're now having for Black people as it pertains to COVID. They won't want to help get rid of crime and everything else in the community when it comes to the lack of economics. But guess what? They definitely want to jump in and help you get vaccinated, right? That's suspect, all right? Or as the young people say these days, that's sus, right? Because it doesn't make, we're doing things that are not normal. We're not what we normally do. The president is talking what? I want every American to get vaccinated. That don't sound like herd immunity to me. If we practicing herd immunity like we've normally done, we don't need every American to get vaccinated.
Right, but I think what the other Joe is recognizing, right, that everybody's not going to get it. And that was the same with the Spanish flu and all of that, and all those people died in the early, you know, all we're doing is repeating what happened in the 20s, you know, the early 1900s, right? And the 20s, all this stuff has happened before, just not with the coronavirus.
Oh no, but it's never happened this way before.
Right, because we were a different society, Joe.
You've seen a push like you've never seen before. It is as if they are trying to push this and shove this down everyone's throat, so much so that they will create a culture that says, hey, we're going to reward you if you take it. You can now participate in this lotto over here. You can now go to games and this, that, and the other. Those people without the vaccination, they can't come. Sorry. That's BS.
Right, you know, and listen, you do not have anybody disagreeing in this camp when you talk about the suspicions of it, and that is suspect, because I think that you know, when you reflect back on the suggestion of what Bill Gates was trying to do a couple of years ago, it seems like we're living that. So it does make it suspect. But then once again, you know, I do believe that every individual has to do his or her own research and come to their own conclusions. And you know, but I you know, fortunately, I'm at that point where I actually believe that it's probably best for me to get vaccinated. I can't make a comment on anybody else, but I do understand the awesome concerns. So anyway, I want some last words from you all. If you had to leave those who are listening with, let's say, one sentence, what would that be? John Yah.
Okay, so one sentence. There's a thing called cortisol. It is called a stress hormone. Okay, go look it up. We have not had a break since we've been in this country. In fact, Black people ain't had a break since white people came out of cave. So here we are now.
Back to me, my single story when I let you go.
Your boy Joe wants to set up vaccine places at barbershops, but his ass ain't talking about setting up vaccine places at white barbershops. Why are you so concerned with Black people getting vaccinated when it's more white people that are not getting vaccinated than Black people? So that is very suspect, right? We are always under attack, and now what we got is we got Blacks against Blacks. If we ain't got enough damn problems, then we're gonna have big roles pointing at other Black people that's not vaccinated.
Interesting point. Joe.
Man, I would just say that everyone should look up, go to Google, and I want you to look something up. I want you to type in the death of common sense obituary. Right? I want you to go type that in Google. And as you see that, the death of common sense, you'll begin to understand the ridiculous nature of our culture today. is based on the fact that the majority of individuals out here, especially those making the decision to, you know, and I'm gonna say it, those making the decision to go ahead and take this vaccine are not focused on the idea of common sense, because common sense will tell you that you should know any and everything that you put into your body, because you only get one body.
Absolutely. And some of that I echo. We just don't have enough time tonight. You know, it's all about what we put in our bodies. It's all about what we put in our bodies. And Joe, I'm going to bring you back on one day, and we're going to talk about obesity. And why, and what is her name? Lizette? Is that the big girl, the big pop singer? What's her name? Lizzo.
Yeah, Lizzo.
Lizzo or Lizzo. Y'all know who I'm talking about? You know who I'm talking about, Joe? Lizzo?
Yeah.
Yeah, one day I'm going to bring you back on the show, and we're going to talk about that, glamorizing obesity, that is really a death sentence, because you don't, most morbid obese people don't live beyond their late 40s or early 50s. So, interesting stuff. So in any case, but that's a discussion for another day. John Yah and Just As Joe, thank y'all for joining me tonight. Listen, everybody, you can reach them on, actually, you can't reach them. Well, you can reach them at their handle there.
I'm living good, I'm living great. Everything I do in the first place. I said I'm living good, I'm living
Video to play. We actually have the video to play, but I just don't have it. But you can reach them at the tipping point. Go back to them. You can reach them, the guests. Go back to the guest screen. You can reach them. I'm sorry, guys. You can reach them Saturday morning. You can. I'm all discombobulated. I'm sorry. You can listen to them Saturday morning on WLOU FM here in Louisville on the Tipping Point Morning Show. It starts at 9 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then they continue on Facebook immediately thereafter. A little bit more ratchet than they are on WLOU.
On WLOUonline.com, 9 a.m.
WLOUonline.com at 9 a.m. Check them out. Hey guys, thanks for joining me tonight. Have a wonderful night. I got to get out of this hot studio and take this jacket off. But Joe, I'm going to have you back, man, because we're going to talk. We're going to tackle this obesity problem, because there's a lot of obese people in this country, and in our communities. And we're going to have both of you guys back to talk about black on black crime. 17-year-old killed today in Smoketown, not far from where we are, John Yah. And it was, according to the report, 170 casings were recovered from the ground, from that shooting scene. We got to do something about this. You said what?
That's the pandemic right there. If you want a pandemic, that's the pandemic. We got more people dying killing each other than COVID is killing. I mean, I've seen people dropping dead down in the West End. I don't hear about people COVID dying dropping dead like that. Every damn night somebody's on the news getting shot.
Right. And I wish we had more time to explore that, but we're going to talk about that on this show, because we need to continue to talk about that. Why do we close our eyes to that? Why do we put our hands over our ears? Every time you see a report, it's just like that's the norm. And so nobody talks about it. Then right after that report, here's all this urgency to get vaccinated. I'm on board with you on that. Anyway, until next...
The reason why people do that is the same reason why people do that.
Right. Thanks again, guys. All right, y'all,
thanks,
this is... take me back to single screen. Okay. This has been Conscious Fever on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. Check those guys out every morning on WLOU Online and WLOU FM. You can hear them from 9 to 10. And then they invite you to their Facebook page, The Tipping Point Morning Show, at The Tipping Point Morning Show. Check them out. Really good conversations. I hope you all have enjoyed the show tonight. I have, with one exception. I'm hot as hell. So now that my guests have gone, I'm going to take this off, and I'm not going to on my arms up because it's just a sweat under them. Okay, take my shirt out of my pants. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm Carl Price. This has been Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. We will be back doing this same thing next week, one day before my birthday. And next week's show, I want y'all to really listen to this, because next week's show, I'm going to do something that might sound a little bit unusual, but I think I have to do it. I'm going to set it up like this before I get out of here, okay? So many of you all know, because I said it on this show, my mother passed on January 26th of this year. Back in 2010, many of you all know, because I've said this on this show, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, okay? My mother was by my side the whole way. And one of the interesting things that I didn't know until she died is that she was keeping a diary. Now, what happened was, one of my sisters gathered up all the stuff in the house after my mother passed and said, you know, everybody that has pictures that mama had pictures of with you in it, come and get the pictures. Anything that was yours and you may have given mama, if you want it back, you can have it back. So there was a package there for me. And when I got this package, there was a diary that my mother kept in 2010 when I was going through chemo. And every day during that chemo, she wrote something on that in that book. I'm going to bring that book. And I actually picked it up 2 months ago. I never went through the package, so I finally went through the package this past weekend. And I noticed there's a book of a diary of my chemo treatment and everything that was going on for those 8 months that I was hospitalized with stage 4 cancer. So I'm going to bring that diary live on the show. Some people tell me I'm taking a chance because I might get emotional. Probably doubt it, because I'm not that type of person. But I'm going to bring that diary and just share with you what was in my mother's head all of that time that I did not discover until she passed away. Anyway, it's been Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. I'm Carl Price, host. I'll see you next week.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price on 97thebeatfm.com.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking back down on the knees. There've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able, Father, to carry on. And it's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it is. Yes it is. Yes it is. shame.